overseas, better known online as Wootini, with another Gay Gamer video podcast. And I just want to start off this episode by announcing our long national nightmare is finally over. Well, alright, it's not over, we still have to get to January, but yay. Finally, that can be over, because that was just horrible. And it was extremely stressful all week, waiting for those election results to come in. And so I had a little trouble, because, as you know, I'm playing Amnesia. And I was trying to play Amnesia, and it was just, it makes me anxious regularly. And as you know, I mentioned before, like, I would scream at certain points if a monster came, and I would scream, and it would, like, startle my husband and scare him. So, you know, the game would scare me, I would scare him. It just wasn't a good situation, and I didn't want to play it when he was napping, because then I'd be sitting here in the dark playing it, trying to scare myself, and if it did scare myself and I screamed out loud at a monster attacking me, then it would wake him up and be annoying. So, I was already, like, super duper anxious, so, I decided that maybe Amnesia wasn't the best game to play. I wanted to try something relaxing. And in fact, I actually put the disc in the PS4 for No Man's Sky, intending to just, you know, float around the universe and, you know, maybe even in VR, just to completely immerse myself in another world. But then what happened was, I saw a notification that said that Beyond Blue had updated. And I'm like, why are they updating Beyond Blue? That's weird. And I'm like, oh, maybe they added a photo mode finally. So I went online to look to see what this version of this update added, and I couldn't find anything about that, specifically that update, but I did see that they, at some point, I don't think in this one, I think in a previous update, they had already added a photo mode. And they had like a little photo mode contest, which I had missed. So, naturally, I was like, oh, well, yes, please. Forget No Man's Sky, and I booted up Beyond Blue, and I just started floating around aimlessly, just being like, ah. And I'm taking pictures of, like, cute little baby swimming turtles, and just, you know, it was very soothing, very relaxing. It's a good game for that. And then, you know, I noticed that there was, I don't remember this from when I first played the game, so I'm thinking maybe in a later update that they had added this. There were a whole bunch of trophies that I hadn't gotten yet because I hadn't scanned everything in each area. Because the idea of, like, crawling around every single section of every single area, especially in, like, the open ocean one, that's a crazy level to try to do that in. Where are you going to find what you're looking for? It could be anywhere. So they added these little circles to the map, which, unfortunately, they're extremely faint and very hard to see. But I was able to see the circles, and I would go around and I started scanning the things that I hadn't scanned yet. So I started getting some trophies because I was scanning everything in each of the areas. And then I got frustrated because I wasn't able to scan everything. There was one area left where I hadn't scanned everything. So I was, like, determined to figure out what I missed. And I looked at the list of fish and which scans I needed, and I said, okay, there's these 2 fish that I still need to scan one more of each of these fish, and then I'm done. And I tried to do that, and I found one of them, but then I couldn't find the other, and I was like, what is going on? I can't find this pufferfish. It's really irritating. And there was a circle on the map, and I'm just circling that circle, trying to figure out, like, why I can't see what it is. And then I realized maybe there's, like, a tunnel into, like, a cave in the rock. That's why it's in the circles on the rock, because it's somewhere inside the rock, not on the rock or around the rock. So, maybe it's not above the rock, it's below the rock. So, I'm like, okay. So, I found a hole, but it was just a hole. There was no tunnel. And I started to get a little frustrated and annoyed, but what's fun is that even though I was getting a little irritated that I couldn't figure out where this fish was, it's still very soothing under there, and the little fish are swimming around, and you're just like, ah. And, like, I circled around the other side of the rock, and then way down below, I found a cave. pushed myself through it, and then was able to move around, and I found an octopus. And scanning that completed the atoll region. And I was like, how is that possible? And then I was very confused because I'd gotten the trophies for scanning everything in each area, but then I didn't get the trophy for scanning all the things. So, like, I googled around, and I'm like, is this bugged? I don't understand. But then there was still that pufferfish. But then I wasn't seeing any circles. And I went, there's 3 different areas of the atoll where it's like day, sunset, and night. No circles in any of them. I did it like multiple times, and eventually I went to, I was in the daylight one, and I found a circle, finally. I was like, oh, it's down there. I didn't see that before. I finally caught that faint little circle, and I was able to scan that last pufferfish, and I got the scanned all the things trophy, finally. Which then, of course, meant that I'd gotten all the trophies, which meant that I got the platinum trophy for finishing everything and 100%ing the game. And that's very exciting, because I never platinum. I've literally only platinumed one other game, and that is No Man's Sky. And that's no longer applicable. Thankfully, I get to keep that trophy, even though, after I got that trophy, in one of their content updates, they added a whole bunch of new trophies for, like, multiplayer and the different vehicles and everything, and I haven't gotten any of those. I think I've gotten, like, 1 or 2, but, like, those trophies I haven't gotten, and I'm not getting the multiplayer ones because I don't play multiplayer ever, really. So, like, I'm very grateful that I still have that trophy counts, even though technically now I'm, like, at, like, 80% for No Man's Sky or whatever. But I never get platinum trophies because it's very difficult for me to 100% a game. Because, I mean, depending on the developer, the trophies are going to be whatever. Like, I was very surprised, as you remember from the recent episode, when I finished Ghost of Tsushima, that I was like, I had all but 2 trophies, just from playing through the game. It was amazing. But mostly, games will have multiplayer trophies, which I won't get because I don't play the multiplayer part of the game. Or, like, in Spider-Man's case, there's skill ones, where it's like those timed race through the city on the web's levels, those missions, which I can't do because I don't have the skills. So they're either like multiplayer, which I don't get because I don't play multiplayer, or they're skill trophies that I can't get because I'm just not that good at the game. I can get all the ones for collecting things, but not for doing everything. But now I'm done with Beyond Blue, and now the world is hopefully returning to normal, so I can get back into Amnesia, because I think I'm about halfway through it, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish it by Thursday when Spider-Man Miles Morales comes out. Of course, that's all dependent on whether Best Buy actually delivers my package on Thursday or not, because it might not happen. They said they will. We'll see what actually happens. Because then it's all going to be about that, and Amnesia goes away. Oh, and before I go, there was one more topic I wanted to hit, because I wanted to mention it, if you might recall from last episode. I left you with a cliffhanger because we were running long, and I said I didn't want to stretch this out any longer. But I do want to talk about it now, which is, there was that Nintendo Direct the other week, where they announced a couple of surprising ports to the Switch, Hitman and Control. And Control was actually available that actual day. Suddenly it was released, and it was a surprise. I love when they do things like that, but only for things I care about. This, not so much. But I was curious, because it's a cloud version, which is concerning to me. I'm old school. I like physical media. Yes, we have Netflix and Hulu and Amazon, and I will watch things there, and I will stream movies, and that's fine. But if I really like a movie, I will purchase it, because I also want the extras and, you know, deleted scenes and commentaries and all that sort of documentaries and whatever. I like all that stuff if I really like a movie. But I also want to have it because sometimes things disappear from Netflix, and then you can't stream it when you want anymore. So, you know, if you really like a movie, it's nice to have it, because then you're also not relying on your internet to be able to watch movies. If your internet goes out during a storm, as long as you still have power, you can still watch your discs. But I was curious how a cloud version would actually play. So I gave it a shot, and because I had read that like people were complaining like when it was released, like that day, like people couldn't play it because there was only a limited number of people who can stream the game from the cloud. So if you were over that, they're like, sorry, there's too many people, you're like number 23 in the queue, so just wait and then you can play the game. And it's like, that's annoying. But I think that was probably only an issue on the release day when everyone was trying to play it all at once, after that direct, when they all tried to download it and play it right away. Because when I tried it, it was fine. Like there was no problems. And my internet is apparently good enough to play it. You can choose either enhanced performance or enhanced graphics. I went with enhanced graphics just because I wanted to see how good it might look. And it still played fine. I guess the controls were a little like wonky, like her running around and stuff. It felt kind of loose and sloppy. But I don't know if picking enhanced performance would really have helped that, or if that's just the game. But the graphics looked good. Like it was fine. And my internet was good enough to play the game. And they let you download like a small file to your Switch hard drive, which then lets you access the cloud game, and it streams the game to your system as you're playing it. But they only give you like a limited, like you can test it out, and you can enter the building and run around and like pick up some things and talk to a guy, and then they're like, okay, now you're done, and if you want to play more, you have to spend $40 in the eShop. But I appreciate that they let you try it, because it would be stupid to pay for a game that you then discover your internet can't handle. So that's very nice of them. And it was nice to know that my internet can handle cloud gaming, but I, as a person, am not really into cloud gaming. I like the idea of owning a disc. I mean, even if you buy a game online, like Beyond Blue, I bought that. I downloaded it to my hard drive. I now own it. But if I delete it from my hard drive and then somehow the license expires and they no longer offer you Beyond Blue, then I can't play it anymore. It's like everyone who downloaded PT. I didn't get my PS4 in time. I bought my PS4 later, much later. So by the time I got a PS4, PT wasn't available anymore, and there was no way for me to get it. So anyone who has PT is lucky, and they have a collector's edition, because it's gone now and you can't play it anymore. You can't download it. So like that whole thing, I'm just like, and the whole cloud thing is just like, I want to actually own something. Like buying something digital is about as far as I'm willing to go. But I also, honestly, for people who only own a Nintendo Switch, it's great that they have this option to be able to play these games, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to play them at all, because the Switch can't play them, or they'd have to do like an expensive port where they'd like dumb it down a bit, and then it wouldn't look as good or play as well or have as much content or whatever. Here, I think it's easier for them to port it to the Switch because they can just stream the game from the cloud. But I have a PS4, so if I was going to play Control, I would just get it for the PS4. Because then I'd have better graphics, and it would be on the system, and I wouldn't have to rely on my internet to be able to play it. But I'm actually not going to get Control, because, not just because Spider-Man's coming out next week, but because I know everyone raves about it, it got all these awards, everybody loves it, but I know some of my friends complained about the final boss battle, and how it was annoying and difficult and irritating, and like, those are some of the worst games to play, are the ones where they're super awesome and great and wonderful, and then you get to the end and the difficulty spike is so high that you're just like, ugh, and then you can't finish the game, because fighting that final battle is just, it's impossible. And then you have to try over and over and over and over and over again, and then it just gets to the point where it becomes frustrating, and then you just rage quit. At least I do. So yeah, no, I'm not doing that. But I am looking forward to Spider-Man, so come back. Next episode, I will be talking all about Spider-Man. Hopefully if it doesn't arrive on Thursday, maybe it'll arrive Friday. but I should have it in time to have played it a little while and be able to give you some first impressions in the next episode. So be sure to come back for that. See you then. Bye!